I think all of life is about perspective. And I think we get ourselves in deep trouble when we begin to think that we're the only ones, or that God hates us and that he's punishing us, when actually he wants to bless you with more.
Yeah.
And if you keep that in perspective, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You're going to be fine.
And that is, it's a dangerous place when you do think that you're the only one that's ever done that. And that, I mean, that's one of the reasons that, in like recovery, that the meetings exist.
Yeah.
And because there's an old timer saying that you go to like an AA meeting,
Yeah.
and you'll hear the same story over and over and over. And that's the point.
Right.
It's for me to hear you basically tell my story, and I go, oh, I'm not the only one that's screwed up like that.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm not alone. Oh my gosh, I feel comforted. And then
Yes.
you can start walking back towards God. Like maybe there is coming back from this.
Yes.
And my mom told me once when I was little, she said that and God will never give you something that He knows you can't handle.
Right.
Right. And I've kind of come to believe that, like a lot of the afflictions that we go through, a lot of them will happen because God knows that we're strong enough to get through them. But again, like God will take what we get through and reverse it and now go help someone else.
Right, exactly.
So something that he knew that we could make it through, now he wants us to immediately go and help someone that might not be able to make it through it. And what comes in my head is, God, I'll never forget this. So, I broke my neck and I went through that whole thing, and I wore one of those halos. You ever see one of those halos?
Yes.
So it's like I had the 2 screws going in here,
really?
and 2 screws going in back here. Yeah, 9 months I had that sucker on.
Oh, jeez.
And at 18, which when you're kind of at the height of your insecurity, anyways, right? All of a sudden I looked like Frankenstein, and I went through a depressive 3 weeks, 4 weeks, just kind of looking at yourself in the mirror, kind of crying and this and that. And I remember distinctively staring at the mirror. And something came into my head, and it said, no, this is going to come off. Like, this thing's going to come off.
Yeah.
Stop looking at it like a thing you have to deal with, and just start doing the countdown. And it really changed how I dealt with it, right? And that was at 18, and now you fast forward almost 10 years later, and I was living in L.A. So I moved out to L.A. to be an actor, and it turned out that I was a really good waiter.
Yeah. I love it.
I couldn't act my way out of a bar.
I love it.
So I'm waiting tables, and this nice restaurant in Malibu kind of overlooks the ocean, and I see this big long table of a family having a dinner. And at the table there is a girl in one of those halos. She's probably 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
Wasn't my table, but it was the first time I'd seen someone else in one of those things. And the urge, I needed to talk to her.
Right.
And I just wanted to pop down there and say hi. So I went down there, and I was like, hey, how you doing? And I asked if it was okay with the dad, and he said, yeah. I said, hey, how's it going? I go, you probably never guessed this, but I had one of those things on too when I was 18. I go, here's one thing I want you to remember, is that thing comes off. Like, do a countdown. It comes off. And guess what happens when it comes off? This. Like, I'm totally fine. Everything's awesome. Just remember, that thing comes off, and it'll be off before you know it. Didn't think anything else of it. Went back, did my thing. I'm waiting tables. About an hour later, the table left, and the dad comes up to me, and he is just in tears.
Wow.
And he's like, that girl hasn't smiled in 3 months. He's like, I've been so worried that she's going to do something to herself.
Yes.
And he's like, thank you.
Amen.
And right there, I remember thinking of what my mom said. Never give us something to handle that we couldn't have made it through. And in my head, so when I had that halo on, I would stare at myself when I was depressed, and I would just go, why? Why, God? Why? Why, God? Why? Why, God? Why? And after that guy said that, I heard in my head,
yes,
that's why.
That's why.
That was why. So long, that whole journey I went through could have been to save that girl's life. You know what I mean? Because like, I'm no worse for the wear now. This finger's a little bit weak, but I can fix my shot.
Yeah.
But like, that was an affliction that was the fruit that came out of that.
Absolutely.
Like, you can speak that into someone's life. So
who knows who she's going to touch?
Exactly. Right.
Wow, that's powerful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you never know when those moments are going to hit, and that's why just God's great. Like, that's how. When they say God knows how the timing on everything, because He lives outside of time, that's an example right there.
Yes, that's powerful.
Yeah.